Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Karens. In today's episode, Karen is pissed off because her name was printed in a newspaper without her permission. Male Karen, are we calling them Kens? Ken rats me out for using my phone at MCDs. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Karen is pissed off because her name was printed in a newspaper without her permission. I work as a newspaper reporter for a small paper. I recently wrote an article mentioning the name of a new school board member. The article was not about her, did not quote her, and was in no way, shape, or form defaming or dishonest. Her name was simply mentioned in passing among several other names. She calls my desk and is livid. She tells me I have absolutely no right to publish her name without her express permission and threatens to sue if an apology is not published. She also demands to speak to the managing editor. I happily oblige. Of course, she's informed by the editor in short order that she's holding an elected position and, as such, her existence and position are already in the public forum. She's also informed that there's no legal obligation to notify people that their name will be published in a newspaper, and that's apparently when she really flew off the handle. She told my boss that every single person, no matter who they are, should be made aware if their name is going to be published and that they should also have a chance to read the article before it goes to print. My boss laughed at her and then hung up. Karen, if you don't want people to know who you are, then don't run for an elected position. All I can say is good luck to the school board. Can't even imagine what a shit show their meetings are going to be. Now you've got a story. As a public official, you can write about her in your paper and what she did. But did she give you permission to publish her name in the apology, or would it have been, "We sincerely apologize to that one lady that called for that thing we talked about on the phone one day last week"? They should remove her name from the ballot since they didn't get her permission. Just wait until the editorial staff starts digging up all the skeletons in Karen's closet. Wait until she gets a taste of school board minutes being public record. Moron. Male Karen, are we calling them Kens? At work the other day in a major cellular carrier, Ken comes in and is livid. His flip phone, that he purchased elsewhere, won't hold the SIM in place for very long. An annoying problem, for sure, but without the device being purchased through our company, there's not much we can do except sell him a new one from our inventory. He goes on about how his mom has cancer and he has to travel 750 miles one way just to come out here and help her. Says he's only been home for 2 weeks this whole year. When I tell him he has to go to the store he purchased it from, he starts raising his voice. Manager comes over, confirms what I told him, and Ken starts to mention taking the issue to court. Manager and I tell him we know the situation is frustrating, and it definitely isn't being made easier with a sick family member, but our hands are tied in terms of trying to replace the phone for free, his goal. He goes off a bit about more personal stuff and steadily calms himself. Eventually he recognizes how he was acting and apologizes for causing a problem. Honestly, I think this guy just had no one to vent all this stuff out to and needed folks who couldn't really get away. It ended calmly, but it also isn't our job to be your therapist. I commend you for diffusing the situation. It seems like you identified the source of the problem. He need to vent about his overall situation. Life throws you one thing after another, and sometimes you need to decompress by talking to others. I'm going to take you to court. Fine. Please leave and call our lawyers. I thought we were calling males Kevin, but personally, the male equivalent from my experience would be Troy. Never met a Troy that wasn't a Karen. Karens don't apologize. He was having a bad day. Thank you for recognizing he was in distress and evolved temporarily into a Ken. Honestly, it sounds like he might be a decent guy just going through a really hard time in life and finally snapped but eventually regained composure. I would say well handled, but your last sentence kinda ruined it. I'm confused about your point. Should it be a random retail worker's job to play therapist for customers? My sister is named Karen and my brother is named Ken. My sister is a Karen as well and owns it. Ken rats me out for using my phone at MCD's. I work at MCD's. Had this dumb at my drive-thru today who I politely helped with placing his order, so then he had to wait a little while, which happened to be by my window since there were cars in between him and the food window, and I was on my phone while I waited for the next car. Mind you, there was not much I could do to help since there were so many people up front already and I had to watch to keep an eye on the cars since they will drive past the pay window if nobody is there. Well, this piece of shit looked like a boomer, signals for my attention and tell me he will tell my manager at the second window that I was on my phone. As if it's any of his business. Thankfully I have cool managers and everything, but my God. In a society full of people who don't want to work, I am working. And my managers always say nothing but good things about me. He's shitty as hell and had no place to do that, but when I worked at drive-thru, we weren't supposed to even have our phones back there in case we took photos of people's credit cards? Not a single one of us followed that rule, but we did what we could to keep the phones hidden from the cameras and the customers. If someone's waiting in line and they're hungry, you gotta expect they're gonna get pissy and look for someone to take out their anger on. When we had huge backups, I'd go around the corner to get out of sight of the window and do dishes, or just stand there at the sink, so customers couldn't get my attention to whine at me or worse, try to add on to their orders after they'd already paid. That is a good idea, and thank you for sharing. So did he try to tell your manager? Yes, he did. The manager came up to me after he complained and told me about the complaint and said to basically be careful about that, etc. The dipshit pry thought he was gonna get me fired, written up or something. That was quite the entitled, spoiled rant there. This isn't a good look for you, and that wasn't a Karen. I entirely disagree. A phone isn't the worst thing in the world. I see a comment on cash money and debit/cards. The only reason not to use a phone when handling those things is to prevent theft. If the OP was only using his phone when he was not interacting with customers and not dealing with either of those two things, then it does not matter. The OP did not say he was serving a customer and the customer complained he was on the phone. He was just in sight of a customer who got uppity. There is no valid reason for the customer to give two shits other than his own expectations of what a worker should do. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.